Okay, this is going to be a super quick video on some tips and tricks when you're going to be removing the OEM shock and spring from a TL, an 0408 TL. This is a 2008 Type S, but should work for 0408 and probably even other generations if they share similar suspension, because it's a lot of Accords and other Acuras have similar suspension. So one thing that you're going to notice is that the sway bar is under tension when you jack up the car to get the OEM wheel off, and once you got it at about that ride height, I'm going to show you how much tension that sway bar is under, because you can see where the link is here and it mounts down here, so that's a lot of tension. So what you have to do is use a pry bar or something to go underneath the arm and press it down in order to relieve the pressure on it to get the link off. Also, this link will sometimes spin. It's a 14mm bolt, but it will spin the entire shaft of the bolt when you're trying to get the nut off. So I think they know that that can happen, and so if that does happen, what you have to do is put a 5mm Allen key in the end of it. It's got a provision for it, as you can see, and then you can use like a gear wrench, for example, to get it off. At least that's what I did. You could use an open face wrench, but it'll just take a long time. So you hold it with this to keep that shaft from spinning, and then you're gonna unscrew it like that with a gear wrench, or just open face wrench. It's gonna take you forever. And then once you got that bolt, the nut off, to get it out, it's gonna be jammed up in here. So to get it out, what you're gonna do is you're gonna use a pry bar or something like that. Just literally anything that you can wedge under there. And here I've got something, for example. I'm just gonna wedge it under there like that to basically push it down in order to get it out of that bracket. Once it's out to its neutral position, which is going to be pretty high because the other side of the car is not jacked up, so it's got it under tension. Also, because the shock and spring is under tension, unless you got a buddy to come and stand on this, and it's a real pain in the ass, you're going to need a pry bar to basically pull that assembly down, because when you pull out the this 17mm bolt, is it 17? When you pull this bolt out, you're going to get it unscrewed, and then it's going to be wedged in there because the shock is going to be pressing down because of the stock spring, and that assembly is so damn long. The only way to get that out is to, again, put or you could use a breaker bar, just literally anything, get some levers up there, and you just wedge it up in there to the subframe, and then just you're going to pull down on it to give you the clearance that you need to get the shock. Also, the last tip is that there is a bracket holding the brake line here, and the lower shock mount runs through it. It's kind of like a welded on nut to this bracket. It's up with the knuckle. So easiest thing to do is go under here, and there's a 14mm holding this bracket on. You're going to break that loose, and that will give you enough clearance to drop the shock down once it's loose, because otherwise it's going to be binding right up in here. You're going to have a real time trying to get the lower shock mount free bracket right there. So, thanks for watching.